Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here, and today I'm coming to you guys with another Washington Commanders talk. Stream gonna be by myself today, but that's gonna be fine. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Other computer isn't working. Might have to switch over midstream. We'll see if that's working or not. But appreciate you guys coming through, Devontae and John. So in today's stream, we're gonna be going over kind of the schedule. We'll break it down a little bit. Already made a couple of videos about that, but kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on the schedule release. And then after that, we'll get into some free agents that Washington should go ahead and target. And we'll get into my record prediction for the Washington Commanders. And we might also talk about expectations for each rookie that the Washington Commanders drafted this year. So definitely should be fun. Excited for that. So we'll start off with the schedule. Honestly, nothing major, like the schedule, nothing that really surprised me that much from, the schedule release. And, the only one of the bad things is, we're playing the Browns week 17, I believe. So we really didn't get an advantage there, where maybe if we played them in like week 5, maybe Deshaun Watson would have been suspended at that point. So that's a little bit unfortunate right there. Let's see. What's up, Washington Command Center? What's up, Kurt Smith? OG in the chat. What's up, King Sean? Appreciate you coming through. Peter, you says San Diego Chargers hands down best schedule release video. Yeah, it wasn't even close. They had the best schedule release video I've ever seen. A lot of different teams were more creative with it. Washington, I mean, they were creative, but I don't know if I loved it that much. It was okay. It was better than just putting out the schedule, but they kind of, if you didn't see it, they kind of got hammers and like either smashed the other team's logo or something related to the team. And they had Tress Way, Cameron Cheeseman, Cole Holcomb, and Charles Leno do it. So, at least it was something different, but, it definitely didn't compare to the Chargers. Or I know it wasn't like the schedule release, but the Seahawks were pretty creative in doing that. But yeah, main points, week 14 bye. I know a lot of people hate it. Honestly, though, I don't have a huge issue with it because I of course, have like a week 10 bye, but I rather have a week 14 bye than like a week 5 bye, because if you get a week 14, at least at that point, you're really, really tired. You're really, your whole team's banged up. There's going to be injuries, but every player that's playing is still banged up. Week 4, you might get some players back from an injury with a week of rest, but your other guys aren't going to be really banged up, like they would be in week 14. So I rather honestly get a week 14 bye than a week 4, week 5 bye. And we've had a lot of those in the past. So that's just me. I know some people definitely disagree with that. It's not a great team, or it's not a great bye, but it's definitely not as bad as some people say. Let's see. Washington Command Center says, man, and you guys can go ahead, since it's just me talking, I'm going to have more time to read the comments. So you guys can go ahead and kind of, ask questions or anything like that, or just opinions. Like Washington Command Center says, man, I still think Jalen Smith has some good football left in the tank and would be a solid linebacker to add. I mean, he's definitely better than some of the, better than David Mayo and some of the guys on our roster right now. But I don't know. I think there's better options out there. I would go for Quan Alexander, sorry, I'm just trying to pull up my other computer here. Quan Alexander, AJ Klein, Alexander Johnson. Those are options I would love for Washington to add. Also, guys, let me know if the audio is fine, because I'm using my backup computer. But yeah, Jalen Smith, no doubt about it, is better than David Mayo, and it's pretty hard not to be better than him as a starter. David Mayo is a backup at best. I could even see him as a third string guy. He's a special teams linebacker that if you need him to play, he can play for you on a few snaps, but I don't want him playing more than 3 snaps in a game on defense. Special teams is different. So Peter, you says, do you think this O-line is enough to keep Wentz productive? Colts had a strong line and Wentz did well. Just another Eagles episode happened here. So Colts have a great offensive line, but last year they were dealing with a lot of injuries, and just overall, they didn't play that well, or they didn't play as well as they usually did. Like, I know they weren't ranked in the top 10 and they are almost every single year. And Quentin Nelson was out for, I know, at least a couple weeks. I know other guys were out as well. So, like, they had a bunch of injuries and they just weren't as productive as they usually were. So, his offensive line actually, wasn't as good as it usually was. And Washington's offensive line last year was pretty good. Washington's offensive line last year was pretty good. They lost Brandon Sheriff, they lost Eric Flowers, but they replaced Eric Flowers with Andrew Norwell. So I like Andrew Norwell over Eric Flowers. I think they're kind of similar players, but I think in this system, Andrew Norwell will play better than Eric Flowers did last year. Those are just my thoughts, though. So we'll see about that. And obviously, and then we got Trey Turner for Brandon Sheriff, and Brandon Sheriff obviously is better than Trey Turner, but Trey Turner is a solid guard who played really well for Ron Rivera and John Matsko when he was here, or when Trey Turner and Andrew Norwell were in Carolina. I think he's a 5-time Pro Bowler, just like Brandon Sheriff. Pro Bowl doesn't really matter too much, but it is what it is. So Washington Command Center says Colts had a good run blocking line pass. Yeah, they had, their offensive line wasn't as good as it usually was. So, Wentz honestly didn't have much to work with in Indy. I think our skill group is better. They had amazing running back. You cannot deny that in Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. Like that's a great duo. And tight ends, though, not really anything special. Mo Alley Cox, Jack Doyle. That's a below average group. Receiver room, they probably have the worst receiver room in the NFL. One of them. They had Michael Pittman, who is a beast. But after that, they really had no one. They had no one. They had Zach Pascal. They had T.Y. Hilton, who was out for like most of the year. So they really had no one. And then you go here. I think offensive line right now is better than the play that the Colts got last year. I think the Colts offensive line in general is much better. But last year they're dealing with a ton of injuries and the virus, which caused a bunch of them to miss games. So, which affected Wentz. I think their running back core is better because they have the best, or one of the best running backs in the NFL. So their running back core for sure is better than ours. Can't deny that. We have more depth, in my opinion, but, because I think J.D. McKissic's better than Hines, and we have Brian Robinson and even Jarrett Patterson. So I think our running back core is deeper than theirs, but their running back core for sure is better overall because they got the number 1, number 2, number 3, one of the best running backs in the NFL in Jonathan Taylor. Tight ends, I think we're better than them, especially if Logan Thomas is healthy. Even if he's not, though, like they got Mo Alley Cox. I think they re-signed him. I'm pretty sure. I'm not completely sure, so correct me if I'm wrong. But they lost Jack Doyle. I think he retired. And then we have Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, and Sammis Reyes. I think that room is much better than what they have. Let's see. Yeah, and then you go to receivers. Terry, in my opinion, is better than Michael Pittman. And then you got Curtis Samuel. I think that's better than, if he's healthy, better than any of the receivers they have in their room. And then Jahan Dotson has a chance to be a really good receiver as well. And then you got De'Ami Brown and Cam Sims. So receivers, offensive line, or receivers are better than what he had last year. Running back is not better than what he had last year. Tight end is better than what he had last year. Offensive line, like I'll take the Colts offensive line probably over our offensive line. But last year, if we're comparing what Wentz had last year to what he has now, I would probably say our offensive line play will be better than what he had last year. The key word right there, last year, 2 words, last year. This year, the Colts offensive line probably going to be better than ours. But overall, I think he's in a better situation. And, they had a great defense last year. So they had a good defense last year. So we'll see. Washington's defense is also going to have to step up. But I'm excited for this year for sure. Chase Young Burner says, I don't know what linebackers are good and still fit. Our defense available right now. Feel like we're going to talk about some free agents available in a second, and maybe 10, 15 minutes. We're going to stick with the schedule right now. And then in a second, we'll get into free agents, expectations for rookies, and much, much more. So I think we talked about the bye week, and then I like the revenge games. I mean, we play at Philly Monday night. Like that is a chance that Carson Wentz is either going to wet the bed or he's going to be super, super motivated to beat his old team at Philly. So like that could go one of two ways, and we're going to play them twice. So let's hope we can beat them once. And if we can beat them twice somehow, that would be amazing. I don't know if it's going to happen, but again, that would be great. And I'm trying to think of other things. The first couple weeks are very easy. Then I believe I'm going to pull it up right here just so I have something to reference. But I got most of weeks 3 though. Weeks 3 to 10 is a pretty tough stretch though. They're a pretty tough stretch for sure. So the first couple weeks, I think we should be able to go 2-0. Then the Eagles, we'll see it's at FedEx Field, so maybe we win that game, start off 3-0. But then after that, you play the Cowboys at Dallas, you play the Titans, you play the Bears, which should be a win. Then you play the Packers, Colts, Vikings, Eagles. Like that's a tough stretch. Then you get another easy stretch with the Texans, Falcons, Giants. Like that right there, you should win minimum 3, probably 4 games, and then you have another tough stretch after that with the 49ers, Browns, and Cowboys. Let's see. Saw a comment. Since 2019, Wentz stats are the same and sometimes better than Dak Prescott. People got to stop listening to yeah. The thing is, people, it's just like the fad is now is like, oh, let's hate on Carson Wentz. Let's, he's terrible. He's not terrible. Carson Wentz is not terrible. You could argue maybe he's a below average quarterback. I think he's better than that. I think he's average. But some people say, oh, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. No. Like there's quarterbacks in the league like Daniel Jones. I like Davis Mills, but at this point, he's not close to what Carson Wentz is. I would say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be better likely than Carson Wentz, but right now he's not. You look at Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, all those guys, I would take Carson Wentz over Jimmy G. Like there's a lot of different quarterbacks I would take Carson Wentz over. So, and what's up, Roger Smith? Appreciate you coming through. Let's see. I'm trying to see something. Washington Command Center says John Bates is Zach Ertz, team protege player, got mentored and coached up by Ertz, and is really, really close to Ertz. I mean, he's not going to be anywhere near Ertz in my opinion, but he's a better blocker than Ertz. He's already one of the better blockers in the NFL, and then I think he can develop into an okay pass catcher, and that's pretty good for the 4th round. So I'll take that any day of the week, and maybe Cole Turner can be kind of the opposite and not so great blocker, but a great pass catcher. And that would be a great duo. And then you also add in Logan Thomas. Got over 50 people in here. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington Commanders content almost every day. Also, hit that like button on the stream. Let's try to get to 20 likes pretty soon. So let's see. You think we can beat the Vikings? Low-key, I think we could. Oh, we could definitely beat the Vikings. Like on a good day for sure. I would say, let's see, let me add the comment. There we go. You think we can beat the Vikings? Low-key, I think we could on a good day. I definitely think we can. And I mean, it's a 1:00 game, right? It's a 1:00 game. So that's an advantage for Kirk Cousins. He loves playing at 1:00, but I mean, we can definitely win it. I think they would be favored. It really just depends on what, both teams are looking like at that point in the season. What's the injury status for both these teams? They got the better offense. Their defense is kind of a mess a little bit. The last couple of years, it's been very disappointing. So I'll take our defense over their defense, but their offense is better than our offense. I mean, I know some people would disagree with this, but right now I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. They got better receivers in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. They got a great running back. Offensive line is okay. So yeah, they've got a really, really good offense. Their defense, though, not so much. I think they'll be favored, but I think we can win this game for sure. What's up, Philip? Appreciate you coming through. Mike Jones says we're going to win way more games with Carson than we did with Taylor. I mean, I don't know about way more. I mean, it just depends. I think we're definitely going to win more. I think we'll win a couple more at least. Roger Smith says we need to lead the league in rushing and will make our offense extremely hard to defend with all the speed. Yes. I think you saw that 4-week stretch where we were kind of healthy, somewhat healthy. Gibson was, playing better. We ran the ball a lot, and it was working. That's partly why we won these games. And yeah, I think that's what we got to do. Yeah, we had 10 wins in 2012. I think that's the last time we had 10 wins, I believe. I know it's been over 20 years, I believe, since we had 11 wins, though. Gregory says, will we sign any more free agents? I think Ben Stanek put out a tweet. I think he put out a tweet today saying that he thinks a deal, or they'll sign someone soon. So we'll see about that. Washington Command Center. I don't think Vikings receivers are better. I would take the receivers over ours any day of the week. I mean, let's just keep it real. Justin Jefferson, 1,500 yards this past season, I believe. Like, he was absolutely insane. And they got Adam Thielen, who's a Pro Bowl, All-Pro receiver. Like, I'll take those guys over Terry, who's great, and he's better than Adam Thielen. I don't know about Justin Jefferson, but after that, like, we don't have Curtis Samuel. I like, but he's a solid number 2. Like, he's a number 2 in my opinion at best. And Adam Thielen is a number 1. So they got 2 number 1 receivers. We have a 1 and a 2, and we'll see about Jahan Dotson. At this point, though, I'll take their receivers over ours any day of the week. Terry, Craig, what's up, Craig? I appreciate you coming through. Says Terry gets another 1,000-yard season. What do you think? I think for sure. I mean, as long as he plays 14, 15 plus games, I don't see why he should not get 1,000+ yard season with Carson Wentz throwing the ball, with better receivers around him. Like, I think that's an underrated point of why, he hasn't been able to produce like a top 5, top 10 receiver, because I think he is a top 10 level receiver, but he hasn't been able to produce like that because of the QB play around him, but also because there's been no receivers around him. Just think about the receivers since 2019. Like, who has been around him? Steven Sims, Kelvin Harmon that was his rookie year. Those are probably like the better ones in his rookie year. They're actually pretty solid. And then like Cam Sims, who is probably the best receiver he's played with, honestly. Dontrell Inman was also a receiver for them. Robert Foster, Jeff Badette. I mean, Adam Humphries was all right. I mean, come on now. Like, he's had no one. He hasn't had anyone that is even a starting level receiver. So, yeah, I think that's an underrated part. So having Curtis Samuel back and also bringing in Jahan Dotson and Cam Sims being back, and maybe, a second-year leap for De'Ami Brown, like, I think that'll help Terry's production a ton. I think the Vikings receivers are proven, and their receivers for sure are better than ours. Maybe that can change, but that just depends on, can Curtis Samuel stay healthy, and also what will Jahan Dotson do in his rookie year. So I'm trying to think of any other things that stand out. I mean, we start off with 2 pretty easy games, and are they both at home? No, one is at home and the Lions game isn't. So we got to start 2-0. We got to start off 2-0. Then the next 7 weeks, like, those are tough games. Eagles, Cowboys, Titans. Like, I think the Titans, it's a tough game, but I think it's a winnable game. Like, the Titans, they lost A.J. Brown. They don't really have receivers. Like, they got Treylon Burks, and that's really it. They lost Julio Jones, who wasn't really a factor. So their offensive line is okay. They got Derrick Henry's a beast. Their defense is solid, but I think they're beatable for sure. Like, I definitely think they're beatable. Then you got the Bears. You should beat them. The Packers, we always play the Packers close, but that's going to be a tough game to win. Colts, the Colts and Vikings, if you can get one of those wins, I think that's a win. Like, if you can get one of those 2, that you're in a good spot. If you can get either beat the Vikings or the Colts, like, those are both solid teams, like borderline wild card teams. And if you can, both these teams will win 8 to 11 games. So if you can win one of those games, that's what you need to do. You need to try to do that, and you got to try to win 3 to 4 division games. And if you can do that, like, let's say you win 3 division games. 3 divisions games is safe, because, like, it's hard. Like, I know the Giants are bad, but it's going to be hard to sweep them. I think we should, but it's going to be hard to sweep them. And then let's say you win 1 against the Giants, or 1 to 2 games against the Giants, and then 1 to 2 against the Eagles/Cowboys. So let's say you win 3 division games, and then you got to win you win the Jaguars, Lions. I'm trying to look at it. Jaguars, Lions are 2 pretty easy games. Same thing with the Bears. And then you go to the Texans, Falcons. Those are 5 easy games that you should win. So what did I have? I had 3 wins already. So let's say you win 4 out of those 5. So that puts you at 7. Then you just got to win like 2 other games. versus, teams like the Browns, 49ers, Vikings, Colts, Packers, Titans. So you got to win 2 of those games or just win 4 divisional games. Like, you just got to do one of those 2 things. I don't think it's too hard, but let's see. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the strategy and, much, much easier schedule. I think according to last year's, winning percentages, we have the easiest schedule, but that's not like the best way to predict it. Regardless, though, we have an easy schedule. We got to take advantage of that. And I think that's why our win total will be better this year. It'll be better than last year. That's a big reason for that, and also the quarterback play, getting a better quarterback. And we got 2 like pretty easy stretches if you look at it. I mean, 2, I don't know if 2 games is a stretch, but you got the Jaguars and Lions in week 2, and then you go to you go to the Texans. You play the Texans, Falcons, Giants. So that's 4 games in a row where it's like you got to win 3, maybe even 4 of those games. So like right now, we'll actually blend the record prediction and we'll blend record prediction and schedule into one. And what's up, Reggie Reg? Appreciate you coming through. So I'll give you let's give a record prediction. You guys can give it in the chat. I already see you guys doing it. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'll go 10-7. I know a lot of people think over that, but I'll go 10-7. I'll go 10-7 for them. I think they are better at the quarterback position than they were last year for sure. They have an easier schedule, and I hope they don't have as many injuries as they had last year. And then you also, so I would go 10-7. I think that's reasonable for them, and it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I'll go 10-7, and if you do that, you're making the playoffs, no doubt, in the NFC. Maybe winning the division with 10 wins. I doubt it though, but 10 wins gets you in the playoffs in the NFC, because most of the I'm trying to think of the good NFC teams like that could possibly challenge us in the wild card. Like you could go Eagles/Cowboys, one of those 2, and what's up, Tyrone Williams. You could go one of those 2 that could challenge us to a wild card. That's one. And then the NFC West, it's 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks. So, I mean, there's another team there that could challenge us, and maybe the Vikings. So, like, there's definitely going to be teams challenging us for the wild card spot. But if we get 10 wins, I feel like we'll be in a good spot to make the playoffs. 9 to 10 wins. If we win 10, we'll definitely be in the playoffs. 9, debatable. So I see a lot of people at 9. I see most people kind of at 10. 10, I see some people at 11. What's up, Tyler? 13, I saw someone at 13. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if we won over 10, I would be very, very happy. Like what and ceiling, I'll say our ceiling is probably around 12 games. Like I could see a perfect scenario. Carson Wentz is not 2017 Carson Wentz, but let's say 2019 Carson Wentz, then I could see the ceiling being 12 wins, okay? But that's with everything going right. That's with Carson Wentz staying healthy, balling out. That's with most of your teams staying healthy, because you're never going to be all the way healthy. But if you're relatively healthy and Carson Wentz balls out, defense plays somewhat like it did in 2020, I could see 12 wins with this schedule. But I'm going to go like 9 to 10 wins. 10 wins being optimistic for me. 10 wins being optimistic for me. So Tyrone Williams, really appreciate the $2 donation. Says, we have the best wide receiver depth in the league. Hey, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say that at this point. I mean, there's teams with really good receiving cores. We're going to have to prove it. We got one proven receiver on this team in Terry McLaurin. And I honestly think we do have good depth. I think we have good depth, but Terry McLaurin, he's proven. Curtis Samuel is proven, but he hasn't done anything here yet. So we'll see what he can do here. And then we'll see with Jahan Dotson. Like, I think he can be a beast, but we don't know. Like, we don't know what he's going to be at the next level, but I think he'll be good. Get Cam Sims. You know what you're going to get with Cam Sims, and he's going to be a rotational receiver for us. And that's kind of where it looks like he's going to fit in. And that's what he should be. He's a very, very good rotational receiver. You do not want Cam Sims as your starter. And that's what he's been at times the last couple years. So if you can put him at, your fourth or fifth receiver because Terry, Curtis, Jahan Dotson are all over him, then you got Cam Sims and De'Ami Brown as your next two guys. That is a good situation to have. I like Cam Sims, but not as a starter. And I think, honestly, though, last year he should have gotten more playing time than he did. And then let's see, I'm trying to think. And De'Ami Brown, we'll see. So I do not think we have the best receiving depth, best wide receiver depth in the league, but it's definitely better than it's been in the past. Because, it's just like last year, Curtis was out, so it was really Terry, Cam Sims, Adam Humphries, Dax Milne. Like, it wasn't pretty. The year before was even worse. You got Terry, and then it was like Cam Sims, Roger Badette, Dontrell Inman, like Steven Sims, who was awful that year. So, it's definitely gotten better, and maybe it can be one of the best receiving corps in the league in a couple years if Jahan Dotson hits, if Curtis Samuel stays healthy, and if De'Ami Brown takes a leap, and not even taking a leap to being a number one receiver, but just being a number three or maybe even a low tier two. The Rams got Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp, and we'll see if they bring back Odell. But appreciate that donation, man. Let's see. Cam Sims is our fifth receiver. Yeah, I think fifth receiver is good. Cam Sims as our fifth receiver would be solid. But yeah, Carson Wentz, like you said, does like those bigger receivers, and Cam Sims is that. We also got Cole Turner, Kelvin Hodges, I think that's his name. Another tight end, undrafted free agent, 6'7", 6'8". Like, that's insane. So I'm liking our offensive skill weapons. I don't really think we're going to bring in I don't really think we're going to bring in anyone more on offense like major guys. Like, we obviously might bring some depth guys. Like, if there's any injuries in training camp or we see things that we don't like, hey, maybe we'll add a guy or two, but I really don't see us adding many guys in free agency on offense. But on defense, that's a little bit of a different story because we got a major hole there. Yes, hopefully, Jack, we do kill the Cowboys this year. Michael says the receivers couldn't show their true skills because Taylor. Yes, I partly agree with that. Like, you look at De'Ami Brown, he was not good in his rookie year, but there was a couple of times where he was wide open on a go route, and Heineke didn't get it to him. So, yeah, I think our receivers were definitely held back. Like, man, I just want Terry McLaurin to play with a good receiver or with a good QB. Let's hope Wentz can stay healthy this year and get Terry that 1,000, like 200. I want Terry to go off this year. Get the respect he deserves because he is one of the better receivers in the NFL, and he constantly gets disrespected. And people will be like, this guy's better than him because he had 70 more yards. I'm like, well, that guy had Dak Prescott as his quarterback. I'm talking about whatever, like CeeDee Lamb. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's better than Terry. But the Cowboys fans will just tell you, look at the stats. Well, yeah, if you put Terry on the Cowboys and CeeDee on the Washington football team last year, Terry probably goes for 1,250, and CeeDee might not even hit 900. So, yeah, those are my thoughts right there. I just think he constantly gets disrespected. And if he has good QB play, I think that'll change. And also, if the receivers around him can step up and stay healthy, that'll also help him out. That'll also help him out a ton as well. So we talked about the schedule. My record prediction, 9 to 10 wins. I'm hoping 10. I'll be optimistic and put 10. I think last year I predicted 9. I think I was the same spot, 9 or 10, but I forgot what I did. And 10 is assuming we still make some moves because we definitely got some major holes. We'll get into that actually right now. We can come back to schedule talk later, but I talked about it. I made a video about this, so if you guys want to check it out later about kind of our biggest needs, I really don't see many needs on offense. Like, if Logan Thomas, if you think he's going to be out for a while, like maybe the first 6 or 8 weeks of the season, you can put him on the PUP list, and maybe you sign a veteran like Kyle Rudolph or Jared Cook, but I don't even think that's going to happen. So Like, I think they're fine at tight end. And then I would say offensive line, like maybe you add someone else, but like their guard depth is pretty good. So I don't think it'll be anyone at guard. Their center depth is good as well with Larson and Wes Schweitzer. And then their tackle depth is okay as well. So, like, I don't think they're going to add anyone on offense, honestly. Yeah, I mean, they're running backs. They're not going to add anyone there major. Same thing with receivers. So I think they're really done on offense. They'll add a couple guys. Obviously, they always do. But I don't see anyone major being added. And then you go to, let's say, the defense. That's where I think players could get added. Slot corner, still a big need. Linebacker, a major need. So when I'm predicting 10-7, that's assuming they fill that spot. Because if they don't, I'm going to go 9 wins because the linebacker spot is a major hole. Because I like Cole Holcomb. I think at worst, he's an average linebacker. And at times, he's a above average linebacker for you. And he can play on the outside or in the inside. He, better suited for the outside, though, for sure. Sorry, I got to get a water break. So, Cole Holcomb, I like him. He's the only proven linebacker on your team. We'll see about Jamin Davis. We'll see about the Jamin Davis. But you can't count on him being an elite linebacker in his second year. I would take Jamin Davis being an average linebacker next year. Honestly, I would take that for sure. We'll see about Jamin Davis on the outside. So I'll take him being average in his second year. In his second year. And then maybe in that third year is when he can take the jump to being an above average to maybe even a Pro Bowl outside linebacker. Hopefully, like that's the dream. But you can't expect him to jump from really bad in his rookie year, playing out of position, to really good in his second year. And, he's super raw too. So, I think you got to add another linebacker, whether it's an outside linebacker or a middle linebacker. You got to add someone. So if you add an outside linebacker, then you're obviously going to put Cole Holcomb in the middle, and then, Jamin Davis and that guy on the outside. And if you add a middle linebacker, then you got that middle linebacker, Jamin Davis, and Cole Holcomb on the outside. Tyrone Williams, appreciate that $2 donation. Says Carson Wentz mobility gonna make our receivers speed show. I mean, we had Heineke. The thing is, Heineke did have mobility. It's just that he couldn't get the ball down the field. Wentz isn't super mobile, but he's mobile enough where he can extend plays, and he's just he can run through people sometimes, and that honestly sometimes hurts him a little bit where he gets injured. So I don't know. I think it'll help him a little bit. Will help out our receivers a little bit, the mobility, able to extend plays. I mean, like we saw the Monday night game against the Eagles, him extending the play, and then the opener, I can't remember what year. It might have been like 2019 where, I think Kerrigan or Preston Smith, someone just was right on top of Wentz, and he broke that tackle, throws a bomb to Nelson Aguilar, and he scores a touchdown. Like, that was just depressing to watch as a fan, and he made a great play. So, like, he's going to be able to do that, and Heineke did that sometimes, but, like, he would almost hold on to it too much after that as well. Appreciate the donation. What's up, Katie? What's up, Jairus? Hey, comment. I don't know how we can get into, because I know you don't have Twitter, but I'll ask ProTech what's your number, and we can try to work on something. So let's see. So linebacker, big need. You guys go ahead and comment down some guys you like, but some guys I like. I would say I would go after, my guy's Alexander Johnson. I think, before free agency even started, I was kind of saying he was my number one option for any player. That's how much I liked him. He was really good in, as a tackler. His missed tackling percentage this year was 0%. Very small sample size, only played 7 games, but because he was hurt, but still his coverage was really good, allowed a 40% completion percentage. Again, small sample size, but I really like him for sure. That's someone I would add. Quan Alexander is another guy. He's, injured a lot, but when he plays, he's a solid linebacker, much better than anything we have right now. I'm trying to think of others. Joe Schobert would be another option. Like, he didn't have a great year last year, but no doubt better than what we have right now in David Mayo. And then I would throw in AJ Klein. I know he's a former Carolina Panther, and Buffalo Bill, But I think he's solid. I think he's solid, and he's an average linebacker. And, that's fine for me for this year while you delay it another year to add another guy. What's up, Bloodshot Sports? Appreciate you coming through. Brush the four. Michael, appreciate that. So let's see. I think that, yeah, so I would definitely try to add another linebacker, one, maybe even two, because you got to think about the linebackers right now. You got Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb, David Mayo. Those guys are going to make the roster. And then I guess Khalid Hudson, like, you need a couple others. You need a couple others for sure. You got to add a couple more linebackers for sure. And then some other positions I think that are needed. I would still add another defensive tackle. I like Fedarian Mathis. I think he's going to be solid for us. I really hope he will. We draft him in the second round as a third rotational guy. I would try to add another guy, maybe start Lutulelli, Akeem Hicks, and Dominican Sue. Just add a veteran in there that can contribute for you so you get that depth even better. Because right now, Efe Obata maybe is your next guy up, but he's more of an outside guy. Same thing with James Smith-Williams. Maybe they'll convert him to the inside. So I think you need to add another inside guy, and I think you need to add another edge guy as well. Like Melvin Ingram would be amazing. Get someone in there because, again, I like Efe Obata, but I think you need someone else as well. So that's another position need in my opinion, for the Commanders. You need a veteran to help out Chase Young and Montez Sweat. You saw what they did with when Ryan Kerrigan was there, and this year without Kerrigan, they took a little bit of a step back. Both of them, Chase Young especially, and then Montez Sweat was, his play wasn't as great, and he was dealing with, so many things. He broke his jaw. He had the virus issue where I think he was out for 1 or 2 weeks. And then his brother passed away. So just a bunch of unfortunate situations right there for him that caused him to miss games. So, he wasn't as productive as he was. David Bada if he makes the team, Rotimi is a guy who probably will be interior defensive line. You're right about that. So those are positions of need. And slot corner, that is an underrated position of need for sure. Who's going to be your slot corner? Danny Johnson? I'm not a big Dan. I know some people really like him. I think he's a backup. He's a backup at best. He's your second guy, maybe even your third guy in the slot. So I would try to get an upgrade there. I think Bryce Callahan might still be available. He's a good slot option. Chris Harris Jr., I think he is another. I think he's in the thumbnail. I think he's a good option as well. He's a veteran. He played okay the last couple years, and he has that connection. Jack Del Rio played under him in Denver for a couple years. So he's a guy I would definitely try to bring in. You can probably get him for cheap. Or one of the best case scenarios is if Percy Butler looks great at wherever you put him. Let's say you put him at free safety in training camp preseason. He looks amazing, or he looks solid for you. Then you put him at free safety. You put Cam Curl strong safety. Move Bobby McCain to the slot. That would be good because he was good at Miami in the slot. So that's what I would do. I think that would be a really good, option for Washington because then it means your rookie's playing well, and then you can move Bob McCain to the slot, and then your kind of secondary is complete. So I think that would be something for sure. Someone asked about Landon Collins. I personally would be okay with Landon Collins, but not at safety. Do not put him at strong safety. Do not have him in coverage, past 12, 13 yards because he can't do it. He can't do it at all. So I would try to add, if you can get him for sure. I think if he comes here, he's going to be coming here on a pay cut. But yeah, I think, he's solid. He was playing solid for us the second half of the season. If you can get him for cheap and at that linebacker / maybe even Buffalo nickel position, I would be fine with that for sure. But I'm not signing him to be a strong safety. And I think he kind of knows that at this point, that he's not a safety in this league anymore. That's not where he's best suited. So we got like 100 close to 100 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the stream, subscribe if you guys are new. And yeah, appreciate you guys for coming through. So those are kind of the main needs on the team. I don't think there's going to be any major signings, but I definitely could see a couple signings in the next week or two. Like 1 year ago today, they signed Bob McCain. So they signed Bob McCain, Charles Leno, like after the draft. So I definitely could see something like that happening in the next week or so, whether it's a linebacker, whether it's, a cornerback, someone on offense, which I don't think it will happen, but it could happen. So I think they'll sign a couple guys. I know they released someone, Devontae Cross, UVA safety, undrafted free agent. They released him yesterday, and they signed another guy. But yeah, so you guys can go ahead and put your comments down below, any questions you guys have. And we'll talk somewhat about, while you guys are coming up with questions, some expectations for rookies in year one. You start off with Jahan Dotson. You drafted him in the first round. Like, I'm sorry, if he has like 500 yards in his rookie year, like that's not a successful rookie year unless he only played like 10 games. Like, I need Jahan Dotson 650 minimum. 650 minimum, hopefully 700, 750. Like, that to me, over 700, over 750 is a successful season for Jahan Dotson. If he goes 550, 600, to me, that isn't really a successful season. Like, he's got to be much better than that. And I think he will be. A lot of people say he's one of the most NFL ready, receivers in the first round. So hopefully he's able to produce for the Commanders right away. I'm trying to think about some other guys. I'm trying to think about what else he could do for us. Maybe you can use him as a returner, but first round pick, I don't know if you want to put him back there all the time. Like, occasionally, sure, but not consistently, because you don't want your guys taking that many hits. So that's something to consider there. Jahan Dotson, like, I think he will be solid. Like, if I had to predict early on, if let's say he plays 16, 17 games, I'll go like 729 yards and like 5 touchdowns, something like that. And that would, to me, would be a solid rookie year, as long as, not any major fumbles or drop issues. And then he can build on that from there. Like, I don't think this guy is going to be like a 1,200, 1,300 receiver in the NFL, but he can be like a solid 850 to 1,100 consistently, hopefully. Like, I think that's kind of his ceiling, a guy that can do that for 5, 6, 7 years straight. And that, to me, is a successful first round pick. A really good number 2 receiver. I think he can be that. Maybe a number 1 receiver if he pans out really, really well. And honestly, like, I'll keep it real with you. I did not watch Jahan Dotson film before we drafted him. And I think if I did, I would have probably ranked him over Chris Olave, because I was not really a Chris Olave fan. I really wasn't. And I'm really happy we did not take Chris Olave at 11. Like, that to me would have been a major, major mistake. Was never a Chris Olave fan. And, I think he's going to be solid. I just don't think he has a very high ceiling. I think he's okay. And taking him at 11 would be a mistake in my opinion. And, I still think you took Jahan Dotson a little bit too early, but at the very least, you got some assets back for that trade. You could have probably gotten more if you traded back a little bit more, but I'm fine with what they did. And yeah, so now going into second round pick, Fedari Mathis, expectations for him, like, just be a solid rotational defensive lineman. It sometimes takes a little bit time to adjust. I'm not going to necessarily put a sack number on it, just because, like, it's hard to predict that. Sometimes players ball out, like, they play really well, but they're not getting those sack numbers, especially on the interior. So I'm just hoping for him to be a really solid player for us. Get a few sacks, get a bunch of pressures. Just do that. We don't need him to, he's not going to be starting unless we do something with John Payne. So, but he'll still be getting significant snaps. You go to third round pick, Brian Robinson. What I need from him, just don't fumble the ball. Be like, when we need you to on those third and ones, fourth and ones, third and 2, third and 3, get us the first down. Do not fumble. Get the touchdown on this goal line situations, and just be solid. He's gonna get like 7 to 10 carries a game. Do what you can. Do the best that you can with those carries. Try we don't need him to be a star in his rookie year. Just if Gibson goes down, like he's going to be a guy that can get you 15 to 22 carries. He can do that for you. And I think that's a main reason, like that's a big reason for why they picked up a running back in the third round. It was the end of the third round, but still, it's a significant investment. So, I think they're worried a little bit about Gibson's health and his fumbles. So if Gibson goes down, then you can have a guy that can get you 15, 17, 20 carries. J.D. McKissic, I love him. He can get you a few carries, but if he gets you 15, 20 carries, I mean, he's going to be hurt and he's not going to be effective. You're not going to be able to use him in the pass catching game like you have in the past. Like he's not going to be able to be as effective as he normally would. So I think Brian Robinson will be valuable. Then you go to the fourth round pick, Percy Butler. He's tough. I mean, we'll see if he plays Buffalo nickel, free safety. I think he's going to play one of those two, depending on how well he plays in camp. Maybe he'll start out at the Buffalo nickel, eventually transition to free safety. I don't know. But ideally, he's your starting free safety. But that's a little bit of a tall task for a fourth round pick. But, maybe he can do it. Chris Sims loves him. Then you go to the fifth round pick, Sam Howell. He's a backup. He's a third stringer for us. Hopefully he can develop this year behind Heineke and Wentz. And, if Heineke's asking for a decent amount of money in the offseason, well, Hal can be your backup. Hopefully that's the goal. And then Cole Turner, I think he's going to be, our second tight end in terms of pass catching. I think Bates is still your second best tight end. But, if Logan Thomas is gone, Cole Turner and Bates are going to get a lot of, opportunities. But John Bates is your better blocker. But I think Cole Turner will get a significant amount of, targets this year. We'll see. It really depends on if Logan Thomas is ready. Because if Logan Thomas is ready, who knows what, Cole Turner is going to do. But if he's not ready, I could see Cole Turner getting 4 or 5 targets a game until Logan Thomas is back. So moving on to those are 5th round picks and the 2 7th round picks. Not really that high expectations for them. Let's first hopefully make the roster. I think Christian Holmes has a good chance to make the roster just because they really don't have great cornerback depth. And then, he could also transition to safety if they want him to as well. And then Chris Paul, just, he's going to be a developmental guard, maybe eventually can be a starter. But that's why we got to take advantage of John Matsko. Hopefully he can coach Chris Paul up to being a good guard for sure. Let's see. Nose tackle on the 5-2-4 defense to let Jamin Davis and Cole run free. Mathis in the middle flank. Yeah, Mathis is definitely going to help out the linebackers behind him. I agree with that for sure. He's a big body. He's going to be taking up a lot of room there. And yes, Derek Force is another guy that I think if you watch the Giants game, I know some people didn't because it was a meaningless game, but you could see some flashes with Derek Force, especially blitzing the QB. He was making some plays for sure. So, we went through the rookie class. I think it's a solid class. I think the floor for this class is probably a C, maybe a C-, and the ceiling is a B+. With other classes is a little bit of a wider range, maybe last year's class, if you're going after, if I was saying it last year, maybe the floor is a D+ or something, but the ceiling is much higher because you had Jamin Davis, De'Ami Brown, guys with higher ceilings. This year, most of your guys are kind of lower ceiling, higher floor guys, and there's no problem with that. They got, and what's up, Dubs family? Appreciate you coming through. Percy Butler, I think he's a high ceiling guy, maybe a little bit of a lower floor. I'm trying to think of other guys. Maybe Chris Paul's a little bit of a higher ceiling. Sam Howell for sure for where you got him. He's got a little bit of a higher ceiling. Jahan Dotson's kind of in the middle there. Brian Robinson, I think, is a little bit of a lower ceiling. But hopefully, ideally, you can have a 1-2 punch with Gibson and Brian Robinson. That would be ideal for sure. Let's see. You guys have any more questions? Go ahead and drop them down below. Also, give me any videos you guys want me to post. The next week or so is going to be kind of dry. I think OTAs or whatever mini camp starts up the 23rd, something like that. So we'll have a lot of content then. And then after that's over, we got a 6-week hiatus of just nothing happening. until training camp starts, which I cannot wait for training camp. Like the first few days of training camp is just so fun to watch, just to, hear everything that's going on, see the players on the field again, even if it's just like highlights. It's super fun to watch for sure. So yeah, I mean, going back over what we were just talking about before the rookies, like the free agents, I expect that to pick up a little bit soon. Linebacker, I'm hoping it's someone that we haven't, like Alexander Johnson or someone like that. But I definitely could see AJ Klein, former Carolina Panther. I could also see for defensive tackle, Star Lutulelli could be a guy we sign for sure, who played for the Bills and for the Panthers. Like, it's a bonus for Ron to get like Ron loves to get the Panthers, but a bonus is a Panther and a Buffalo Bill. And he's gotten some, like Effie Obado is a Panther and a Buffalo Bill, some other guys as well. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like Robinson for sure. I think third round is a little early, but it wasn't like that much early because it was the end of the third round. So they might have reached on him by like 10, 15 picks. But it is what it is. I think they picked the right style of back. Like, I didn't want them to pick like a quick, twitchy guy because I think you needed a bulldozer to get you on some short, to get those short yardage situations that, Gibson, I thought he would be good at, honestly, because in his rookie year he was. But last year it seemed like a lot of situations it was 3rd and 1 or really short and we couldn't get it. We were missing Peyton Barber a little bit. And I'm surprised to say that because I was not a huge Peyton Barber fan. And yeah, I mean, Michael, that's what we got to do next year. We just got to run the ball. And that's what we did in our 4-game win streak. And it was working. Gibson was getting a ton of carries. Patterson was getting some carries. McKissick as well. What's up, DeAndre Taylor? Appreciate you coming through. So, like, that's what we got to do. Just run the football. Take those shots when you need them to. Like, Wentz can make all those throws. That's what's important. Like, Heineke could not. Like, he could make those short throws and, stuff like that. But the deep throws, he could not make. And, like, he just, the thing is with Heineke too, his velocity, he did not have much velocity on the ball. So, like, a guy would be open, but he's got to hit it, like, earlier than most quarterbacks have to hit the guy because his ball is so slow. So, like, there's so many times where you see the guy open, but he throws like a lollipop or just throws it super slow velocity, and it ends up being like a pass breakup by the DB. That happens so much. And that's why, like, Terry, if you look at his catch percentage, it's like lower than most receivers, but that's because he had Heineke as his QB. And I think now Heineke's getting a little bit too much hate. Like, some people are saying he's not even a backup. Like, Heineke's a backup, guys. Come on. Heineke is a very good, like, he's a perfect backup, in my opinion. A guy that at times can play at a pretty high level, like, can play good football for a few weeks. Like, he did that at times, like the, Giants game, I'm talking about the first Giants game, the Falcons game, like, he played some good games. He had some good stretches. He had some really bad stretches. He knows the system. He has chemistry with the teammates. The teammates love him. So, I'm fine with Heineke for a couple weeks. I just don't want him as a starter. Like, that's just my thoughts right there. Bloodshot Sports says, you think Curtis Samuel will have a nice year? I mean, if he's healthy, I think he's going to be a guy that gets you 800 plus yards. I really do. I mean, you look at his production. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but like consistently goes up and up and up. Every single year's receiving yards and rushing yards go up, except for last year, obviously, where he was out for the whole year, basically. So if he's healthy, I see him as a 750 to 950 guys, around that range, a guy that is really, really solid for you. And yeah, I think he can help out this offense a ton in those short yardage situations. I think you can use him a lot in, screens and stuff like that. Even some end rounds as well. They used him out of the backfield. Even the limited times he played last year, he was used a lot in the backfield. So that is something they definitely can do with Curtis Samuel this year. But he also is a little bit of a deep threat sometimes. He definitely is. So I'm excited to see what Curtis Samuel can do. I'm really, really hoping he can stay healthy this year. We need him, but at least you got insurance for him. You got Jahan Dotson. So if Curtis Samuel's gone, if he gets hurt, at least you have Jahan Dotson, and maybe De'Ami Brown is better in his second year. So I'm really hoping, though, our receivers will stay healthy. I'm excited to see what Curtis can do. Same thing with Jahan. I'm excited to see what Diami can do in his second year. I'm really excited to see if he does take a second year step. Brush the Four says, what are your expectations for Cam Curl? I mean, I'm just expecting him to, be the same player he was last year, maybe a little bit better. I mean, he was one of our best defensive players last year. And I mean, he doesn't need to take that much of a step, but I think yeah. I mean, he's one of the better safeties in the NFL, and I think he is probably all Washington fans know how good Cam Curl is, but like in terms of like national media, I think he is the most underrated player on this team for sure. Like no one, except for like diehard fans or analysts outside of Washington, really know who Cam Curl is or know how good Cam Curl is, because Cam Curl is one of the better strong safeties in this league, but he just doesn't get the credit. He doesn't get the credit. Honestly, I didn't think he dropped that many interceptions. I think that was more Bob McCain. I mean, Bob McCain dropped like 5 to 10 interceptions. It was bad, like really easy ones too. There's a reason he is not on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, Sir Cartier, he definitely is one of the most underrated players in the league. Do you think we'll get James Bradbury or not? No, I do not think we'll get him. Just because I think that the price is going to be a little bit too high for him. The reason he didn't get traded, like there were trade offers on the table that the Giants wanted to take, but Bradbury and his agent wanted more money, so that's why he didn't get traded. And we kind of we need more of a slot guy than a outside guy, and Bradbury's an outside guy, so it would be cool to add him, but I don't see it as a huge need, and I don't think we're going to have enough money. So those are my thoughts right there. He's a good player, though. He played in Carolina. Obviously, he said a couple years ago that he would love to play for Ron. Washington showed some interest as well. So, yeah, I mean, usually a lot of these safeties, unless they have name recognition, you got to have 3, 4, 5 picks to make the Pro Bowl. So I think Cam Curl is a couple years away from being nationally recognized. Like if he has a good year this year and then next year he has another good year and we're pretty good, then I think people will start to know who Cam Curl is. Because, I mean, yeah, I agree with you guys. He's one of the better safeties in the league. He's just not appreciated like that. I mean, he's going to be in his third year. So, I mean, after this year, we can negotiate a contract with him, and I would try to bring him back. But Ron hasn't really paid that many safeties. It hasn't been a big priority for him. But I would try to get Curl, after this year before he, keeps getting better and better. Like that's the thing. If you think you're going to keep a player, just extend him right away. Right when you can extend him, do it. Like Terry, do it right away this offseason. Montez Sweat, if you're planning on keeping him, I think they can extend him right now. Go ahead and do it. Same thing with Cole Holcomb. If you want to do it, I mean, Cole Holcomb's a little bit different, but like some of these players, like if you think they're going to have a huge step up, and like they did it well with Jonathan Allen, where if they would have let him go to free agency this year, he would be probably making like 22, 21, $23 million a year. So we saved like $4 million a year because Washington made the deal before the season starts. So like, let's say Terry, they can't agree on a contract and he balls out because he has a better quarterback, he has better receivers around him, and he goes for 1,300 yards. Well, his price tag is going to go up. So, that's the same thing with all these players, Brandon shit. And that's why you got to get deals done early because the cap continues to go up. So, I mean, a deal today, like as long as a player is good and you're confident he's going to stay good, like it's not going to be an overpay. It's not. Like in a few years, like you look at the quarterbacks, like by the third year of the contract, they're underpaid. Like that's really how it works as long as they, again, stay good. So if you're confident in this guy to play well if he's healthy or to stay healthy, then just re-sign him whenever you can. Because, I mean, I feel like a lot of teams don't do that. So SWNS3 asks, how much of this year's cap space would a Terry extension cost? That really just depends on how they structure the deal because he's only under he has like a $3 million cap hit, something like that. I don't know what it is, but it's very low. So if they wanted to lessen the blow in the next few years of the deal, they can make the cap hit a little bit bigger this year. So instead of having a $3 million cap hit, they can go to like $10, $11 million. That's definitely, sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. That's something that they could definitely do for sure. So it really just depends on how they structure the contract to see how much, the cap space is going to be on this year's books. So I think we're going to wrap it up unless anyone has any final questions. You guys can go ahead and ask, but really appreciate everyone for coming through. Pretty successful stream. Go ahead and like the stream up. Subscribe if you guys are new. Going to be posting a bunch of Commanders content in the next couple of weeks. If you guys got any video suggestions, go ahead and drop that down below right now, and I'll try to make that video. I'm going to start in the next couple weeks, maybe doing some breakdowns of the rookies, some film/player breakdowns. We'll see. I'll probably start doing that. Maybe I'll do one before minicamp and OTAs. And then once OTAs happen, we'll stop for a bit. And then after that, that's when I'm going to really ramp it up for all the rookies and maybe even some undrafted free agents that are turning heads in OTAs and minicamp. So appreciate you guys for coming through. Again, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace, guys.